Welcome to Advantage Learning Bytes at Coffee Conversation, powered by the Emerging India Forum TEIF and our tech partner Prime Infotech Solution. Today's episode is a special one. It's a Women's Day special, and the theme is LLP, New Horizons for Business. This topic we have divided into two parts. So today we'll cover the first part. We have with us our guest speaker, CS Jasmeet Kaur, a practicing company secretary at Mrs. JK and Associates, having experience of more than 18 years in corporate law, legal matters, and secretarial laws. So welcome, CS Jasmeen, to this Women's Day special episode.
Thank you so much, Mr. Virmani, and thank you to the Emerging India Forum for having me, choosing me for deliberating on this topic of LLP, which is an upcoming topic. It'll be my pleasure sharing some of the knowledge with the co-members and with the participants. And I hope this interactive session works well for all. Yeah, and I wish all the ladies participants a happy Women's Day. And definitely to the gents also, because I think it's about the gender equality. So it has to come from the both side. And happy Mahashivratri to all.
Yes.
I think Indian culture is full of celebration. So we really cherish that.
Today's two powerful day. It's of Shakti and Adi Shakti.
Right, so, perfectly said.
So let's begin our conversation. So my first question will be related to the topic. What type of business activities can be carried in a limited liability partnership?
Okay, Mr. Virmani, I'll start with a little brief introduction about the LLP. That this concept, actually, there was a business structure of either a private limited or public limited companies, or a structure of a unregistered partnership firms and a proprietorship firm. But this concept of LLP has come with the advantage of both, which carry the less complexities and less compliances of a partnership and proprietorship firm, whereas at the same time, it has advantages of a perpetual succession of a company, private company, and a limited liability for the partners of the LLP. So it gives us the advantages of both registered sector and unregistered sector. And whereas, as your question was, what all activities which can be covered in LLP, initially manufacturing was not covered, but gradually, because this idea came up with the collaboration of the professional basically. But then gradually, as the importance of this concept has gained, so now all the activities are covered, like whether it's a manufacturing activities, trading activities, or a business activity, or service sector, or professional activity, all activities are covered, except for the activities which are regulated. Like I'll say like NBFC or a banking services, which is regulated by RBI, or for other matter like insurance company, which needs a licensing. So all those activities which are regulated activities cannot be undertaken under this LLP sector, or maybe in future we could see this also happening, but presently we cannot do. But rest all other activities can be done in an LLP.
Okay, that's wonderful. Now, as a full form of LLP is limited liability partnership. So I'm dividing this question into two parts. First one is, okay, who can become the partners? Are there any limitations who cannot become partners? And why is it the partners are being named as designated partners? What is the concept behind this? MCA brought this.
Okay, very well. Partners can be anyone, an individual can be a partner, or a body corporate can be a partner. And because as we understand, this concept of LLP is based on the LLP agreement, which is a kind of contract we need to enter into with an LLP. So person has to be major, a minor individual who is a major, attain the age of 18 or above can be a partner. So, and body corporate can also be a partner, whereas with regard to other structures like partnership, a partnership can be a partner in a LLP through its partner. It cannot be a partnership, cannot hold in its own name, but through a partner. Whereas HUF cannot be. I'll mention few who cannot be the partner in LLP are HUF cannot be a partner, and trust cannot also be a partner, whereas there is some exemption. I'll mention particular name like SEBI registered trust, like REIT or Invest Trust. These trust can be partner, but rest all other trust cannot be partners. And yes, your next
Called
question.
designated partners.
Yeah, as the name suggests, designated partners. So designated partner has to be a partner. So among all the partners, if there are 2 partners or 5 partners, among all they choose either all want to be participate in the management and operations and day-to-day working of the company, or they select among themselves to be the 2 representative or 3 representative who can be looking after to the management of the companies. Whereas there are few things I would like to mention, that the powers of the designated partner is defined by LLP agreement. So I would say in an LLP, an LLP agreement plays a very vital role, because all the powers, and because it's a kind of a charter of the LLP. Like in case of companies, we have memorandum and articles. In case of LLP agreement is a charter which defines what all activities can be done, and it describes the powers of the designated partners and the compliances and duties of the designated partners. And one more point I would like to highlight here is one of the designated partner has to be a resident of India.
Okay, that's good.
Yes.
So continue conversation. What are the different types? Now you told about the partners' roles and responsibilities. What are the different activities or classification of LLPs covered in India, and what is the capital contribution should one keep in mind while forming an LLP?
There's no minimum capital requirement for an LLP. You can start with 100 rupee also and it go to any limit. So there's no requirement of a minimum capital defined. But whereas there are 2 categories of LLP, one is the small LLPs and the other is other than small LLPs. So small LLPs are being categorized on the basis of their contribution and turnover. And if LLP is satisfying both criteria, it falls under a small LLP. So capital contribution criteria for a small LLP is 25 lakh. Presently, it is 25 lakh, and turnover criteria is presently 40 lakh. So in case LLP having a contribution up to less than 25 lakh or turnover less than 40 lakh, consider as a small LLP. And what are the advantages of being a small LLP? One, your ROC fees, departmental fees is less. Then secondly, the penalty provisions which are applicable comes to the half of the penalty is applicable on the small LLPs. And then there is another option, which is audit of the accounts becomes optional. But I understand being a Indian mentality, or even a smallest businessman also works with an accountant, help of an accountant at least. So maybe accounting audit is optional, but I would always suggest that whosoever is running a LLP should always take a guidance of a professional for maintaining their finances and for the compliance purposes.
Very true, very true. Now my next question will be regarding a transfer. So what does, in the case of LLP, transfer of rights, is it wholly, partially allowed according to the MCA Act?
Yes, absolutely. As per the LLP Act, it allows, if you you can transfer your right to profits to somebody else, like partially or even fully. You being a partner of LLP and you want these rights to be transferred to your children or to be transferred to your wife, so you can definitely transfer those rights. But that doesn't mean that it carries, if you are transferring your distribution right, doesn't mean that you are transferring your voting right or the contribution right. So you'll only be the partner of the LLP, but the benefits which is coming to you as a partner can be transferred either partially or completely.
Okay, that's good. Now, you've seen the structure, the rights, responsibilities, transfer. My next question will be, what are the key advantages and benefits that helps us in forming an LLP versus the different types of company formation structures like private limited, there is one-person company, there is public limited company, there is Section 8 company. What are the advantages of people, individuals want to form LLP structure?
Okay. So basically, I'll give you a comparison between an LLP and a company, because one-person company or a Section 8 company, all are part of the company only. Whereas one more point I want to add here, when you ask me about the activities which an LLP cannot do, LLP can also not be formed as a Section 8 company, which is like non-profitable organization, NGOs, which we say. So LLP, through an LLP, you cannot run an NGO. So I'll give you a comparison between an LLP. As I said earlier in the starting of this conversation, it carries the benefits of both the side. So in LLP, the foremost benefit is that there is less of compliances as compared to compliances which are covered in the Companies Act. Then secondly, second most advantage is operational and managerial compliances. Like in companies, you need to have a specific number of meetings. For small companies, at least 2 meetings of the director in a year, and for a normal company, at least 4 meetings of a director, and then annual general meeting of the members of the company. Whereas in LLP, there is no such compliance. As and when requirement, you take the approval of the partners, or you take the approval of the designated partners. And in case there's normal working and which doesn't need any approval, there's no requirement of a meeting. And then coming to other part, like very on the taxation part, the basic reason why people are switching from this company format to LLP format or going for a new LLP formation is the taxation benefit which they are getting. Though as an income tax, on LLP there's 30%, whereas on company it is 25% up to 400 crore and 30% after 400 crore. Or there is some new criteria also, which covers like 22% or 15% for the new companies. But at the same time, there is a double taxation concept on company. In case they withdraw the profit in the form, distribute the profit in the form of dividend to the shareholders, then there'll be an additional dividend distribution tax of 20% applicable. Whereas there's no such tax applicable in the case of an LLP. So whatever tax being paid by the LLP, and after that, whatever amount remaining as a profit can be distributed to the partners, and there'll be no additional taxation applicable on that distribution. A few more points, like I'll say withdrawal of capital. Withdrawal of capital is also a very important point. Like you have contributed a capital, but now you for some reason want to quit the company, or you started a company with a 10 lakh of capital, you Mr. A and Mr. B, and now they think they can withdraw half of the capital because they can run the LLP with the half of the amount because there is already a profit or whatever reason. So it is an easy process. Whatever mentioned in the charter of the LLP, which is an LLP agreement, you can follow that procedure and you can easily withdraw that capital. Whereas in case of company, for reduction of capital, there is a long procedure which needs an approval of an NCLT. Through a tribunal, you need approval for the withdrawal of capital. Whereas I would like to mention a few limitation also, if you allow me.
Yeah, my next question is that.
Okay. So
most of the advantages, and now see, in life there are advantages, there are disadvantages. You covered the advantage part. Now let's listen to the disadvantage of LLPs. Everything there is two sides of the coin.
Has a two sides.
Yes.
I'll say the benefit side of the coin is much more heavier than the disadvantages, but definitely there are few limitations of LLP. One of the limitation is because in case, like as we are saying, India is emerging as a startup hub for so many new entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs. So mostly they get the funding from the venture capitalists or other investors. Those investors invest in the form of either equity or compulsory convertible preference shares or compulsory convertible debentures. Through that, they get a ownership, some kind of a shareholding share in the company. Whereas there's no concept of shareholding in the LLP. So
Yes.
that way, venture capitalists are always hesitant to invest in an LLP, which is a startup. So that is the biggest drawback. And then secondly, as I mentioned, regulated activities cannot be done in an LLP format. So that's a limitation. You cannot do the activities which are regulated by some particular regulations. So that cannot be. And thirdly, important limitation is foreign direct investment. As we know, we are a global, working in a global scenario where investment from the foreign countries are also coming in, and people are investing as a beneficial hub, considering that India is a beneficial hub for a business point of view. But there is a limitation that FD can be taken by LLP only with the approval of RBI. And there is one more department, which is Foreign Investment Promotion Board. So you need a prior approval. Whereas in case of company, most of the activities and sectors are covered under automatic route. Though there are certain sectors which need a prior approval of RBI, or though there are certain sectors where after certain percentage you need approval of the RBI, but in LLP, prior approval for any kind of an FD is required. Yes.
Beautifully, you covered the LLP structure, roles and responsibilities of the partners, advantages, disadvantages. So we shall continue our conversation in the second episode.
Yes.
Before that, I'd like you to, because this is Women's Day, some advice for women entrepreneurs. What would be your advice to the women entrepreneurs?
I would only say ki follow your dreams. In case because most as a feminine part of the female always stop them from achieving their career, because sacrifices and adjustments are the feminine energies which comes out very easily. So I would only say, keeping your guilt aside, in case if you want to be a successful in your career, and for that you want your family to adjust a bit for you, because you ultimately, if you will be happy, you can keep your family happy. So there's no harm in living your dreams and making yourself happy. So start thinking about you also personally, and definitely keeping a balance, as this is applicable on males also, to keep a balance between work and family. So as a female, this comes naturally that we always try to maintain a balance, rather our balance towards the family and our personal commitments always overpower our career. But I would only like to say that definitely look forward to fulfill your dreams, grow bigger, because if you Google to find out the topmost CEOs and the MDs in the company who are female, so you'll get a very big list. I'm so happy to see even in Shark Tank it's sometimes some of the episodes are female dominated, where you see Namrita also, Vinita also, and all other female sharks also. So I think now it's a big time that we should uh, move out of the comfort zone and look to achieve bigger in the coming time.
Very true, very true. And today being a very powerful day, Mahashivratri, so, and International Women's Day also. So a salute to women empowerment. We believe in that, and we'll continue our conversation to cover this topic, LLP, New Horizons for Business. Yes, LLP is a very good structure formation. We meet soon with to complete this topic, and there are many other interesting topics which we have. You can watch our channel, the Coffee Corner Show, which we have in just 4 years, around 100 episodes, which we have covered with different subject experts. Anyone wants to be covered to share the subject expertise, you can drop in message on Instagram or LinkedIn, or visit our website www.theemergingindiaforum.com. You'll get to know many things which are happening. So have a safe weekend and happy Shivratri. So thank you, Jasmeen. It was a lovely conversation, which we keep continuing. So stay safe, everyone. See you soon.
Thank you so much for having me once again. And it was absolutely pleasure sharing my knowledge with your subscribers and your participants. Definitely. It's all my pleasure. Thank you for having me.